Is the growing isolation of WikiLeaks the start of the end for the online secret site? What right do companies like MasterCard and PayPal have to refuse to do business with it? And with the enemies massing at the gates, who can WikiLeaks call on to stay afloat financially? This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the programme. David Foster with you here. Any way it can, the Goliath that is the US government is bringing its full weight down on WikiLeaks. It's operating illegally in the US, says the State Department, demanding a shutdown of all accounts, transfers or deposits to the controversial website. So what do you do when a big corporate name such as Visa casts you adrift? Is the cyber backlash by WikiLeaks fans going to be enough? Well, you know the saying, a week is a long time in politics. It also seems to apply to WikiLeaks finances. In just 7 days, supporters were prevented from having access and making donations, to some extent cutting off the site's lifeline. Trouble began on December the 1st, when Amazon, which hosted WikiLeaks servers in the United States, cut off ties. Amazon argues it's because WikiLeaks breached a contract, not because of political pressure. The online payment company PayPal was next. It stopped members from making donations. PayPal's vice president says the firm had been contacted by the US State Department. MasterCard and Visa Europe followed suit and started suspending the use of their cards on WikiLeaks. But payments can still be made through this company, Flutter. The joint British-Swedish firm says it's seen no evidence in those two countries that WikiLeaks is doing anything illegal. Joining us now to discuss this issue, our guests here in Doha, Mark Farha, visiting professor at the School of Foreign Service of Georgetown University. In Birmingham, in Middle England, Jonathan Hemus, founder and director of Insignia, a PR firm specialising in crisis communications. And via broadband from Basel in Switzerland, Andreas Fink, chief executive of DataCell. Good to have all three of you on the programme. Andreas, let me start with you first of all and try and summarise what DataCell does. It provides servers and it stores credit card information for WikiLeaks. At least you did until what happened on December the 7th. Tell us what that was.
Well, DataCell, first you know, is a data center company, and one of our services is to provide payment services for our customers. And as such, we provide payment service to WikiLeaks. So if people pay via Visa or MasterCard, we charge the card and give the money to WikiLeaks. That's our job. And on 7th of December, we got a notice from our payment backend processor saying that Visa has instructed them to suspend us for 7 days, so they can complete the due diligence if the payments to WikiLeaks is not going to hurt their brand or you know, hurt them financially in some way.
But it also said, because you sent us the email, Andres, it also said that that 7-day suspension could continue indefinitely.
Yeah, that's true.
So you went out, spoke to other credit card companies besides MasterCard and Visa, and they said to you, yeah, we've had contact with the State Department on this issue too.
Yeah, I contacted another credit card company, a smaller one, who indirectly then confirmed that they cannot accept payments for WikiLeaks because the US government has intervened.
You don't think it was simply because of this, quote, due diligence? You do seriously think there was political pressure put on these companies?
Well, it's very simple. We have been doing donations for WikiLeaks since almost 2 months. We started in October, and you know, out of a sudden the donations increase because of the big press releases and because PayPal is closing down, and then out of a sudden I get to know that Visa and MasterCard are no longer allowing donations to WikiLeaks over the press. I mean, they didn't approach us saying anything is wrong, and for us, it's a very clear case. WikiLeaks is not illegal in any way, in our way, so it shouldn't be illegal for us to process donations. and the donations come from all over the world, from really from every kind of individual. So to me, it's very clear that Visa and the MasterCard are just doing what their government is telling them to do, but they're not telling us the truth because they're afraid that we going after them, which we really do want to do.
Thanks, Andres. Stay with us, of course. We're going to turn to Mark Faho, who's with us here in Doha, visiting Professor of Government at Georgetown University, on a spell here in Qatar. Do you think there's any doubt that the US government is arm-twisting here?
Well, no, on the face of it, I think it's clear. Yes, there is a witch hunt going on against WikiLeaks. But the question I would like to pose is related to the broader picture. I mean, what are we getting here? The quantity of WikiLeaks data is impressive, but the quality is not. We've discovered precious few new items through WikiLeaks, and in exchange what we're getting is this global crackdown on WikiLeaks in particular, but in general a threat sort of to the freedom of the internet. So I think the repercussions of this whole affair show some ominous signs.
Is the US government doing this then not because it's worried about the material that's out there, but because it wants to prove a point that it can quash any kind of dissent if it chooses to do so?
I would think so, given, I mean, at least to set a precedent. And bear in mind that there have been ideas paneled in the U.S., most particularly by Joseph Lieberman, to enable the president, in fact, to have a red button to shut down the internet as a whole. So, and if we take the Patriot Act, for instance, as a precedent, we also see that civil liberties were curtailed there, unsuspectingly so. So, in wake of this war on terror, which is, of course, to a large degree, legitimate war on terror, we should be on guard that our civil liberties are not curtailed.
In essence, suppose this is about the high price you can end up paying for free speech. For almost 50 years, America has had a Freedom of Information Act, and that gives people a right to ask for secret government information. The words used by the US leader in 1966, well, they show a very different attitude then compared to today. Former President Lyndon Johnson said, "This legislation springs from one of our most successful principles. Democracy works best when people have access to all information that the security of the nation permits. No one should be able to pull curtains of secrecy around decisions which can be revealed without injury to the public interest." So back to you, Mark, on this one. Is the information that's out there in any sense a danger to national security?
So far, no. It's been a danger to regional peace and stability because it's raised tensions between Sunni and Shia and between the factions in Lebanon, for instance. But Lyndon Johnson is a poor choice to sort of a poor poster child for transparency. He was known for his backroom deals. JFK has a similar quote saying that secrecy is repugnant to a free society, and I trust him more in that regard. Obama, one should add, has rejected more Freedom of Information Act requests than even Bush did in his entire tenure. So even though Obama claimed that he would create the most transparent administration in history, in point of fact, he has betrayed that promise.
When they take a look at the Act closely, the Freedom of Information Act, it has some exemptions. I'm going to read one out now. I want to know whether you think these documents in any way fall into this category. There are 9 exemptions. Number 1, properly classified documents in the interests of national defense or foreign policy need not be divulged. In that category or not?
No, these are not top secret documents, right? As I said before, 95% is, if you want to call it, diplomatic trivia. I mean, almost sort of adolescent, puerile conversations between low-level diplomats. No names are mentioned that we didn't know before. No real secrets revealed. So it only, by and large, is information which already was, to a large degree, in the public sphere. It just makes it more explicit, and as I said before, by officially attributing the statements we all knew, for instance, what certain Gulf leaders said, it raises the tension and creates, in this regard, embarrassment, not so much for the U.S., I would dare say, but for the regional leaders and situations. So.
Julian Assange's Swiss bank account, which was run by the Swiss Post Office, that was also shut down. Some suggestion that that had nothing to do with political pressure. What's your feeling on that one, that it might just be Swiss laws that he's not allowed to have an account?
Yeah, I believe that is correct, technically speaking, that legally speaking, he was not a resident of Switzerland. I'm a Swiss citizen, and I have friends there who have told me this in the legal sphere, that he was not a Swiss citizen, and you're not allowed to have a post account if you're not a citizen of Switzerland or a resident of Switzerland. So, but that does not sort of gainsay the fact that, yes, there has been a witch hunt, at least on the face of it, against Julian Assange.
Okay. Go to the UK. Talk to Jonathan Hemus now, Chief Executive of Insignia. Jonathan, one of your jobs is sitting down with people who are in a spot of bother and saying this is how you sort these things out for yourselves. What do you think was going through the minds of the chief executives of MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, all of these people who've suddenly gone, look, we don't want to know you, WikiLeaks. What would they have been thinking? What was their reasoning for doing this?
Well, clearly, corporate reputation takes years to build up, but in a crisis like this, it can be destroyed very, very quickly. And I think the people running the organisations we're talking about, the MasterCards, the Visas, the PayPals, they're wrestling with a real challenge. Do we bow to pressure, if indeed there is pressure, and cut off funding to WikiLeaks? Or do we protect free speech and leave that funding in place? And what they're trying to make their minds up about is what is going to be in the best long-term reputational interest of the organisation concerned. And I think that very much depends on the individual values that underlie those organisations and the relative importance of the stakeholders with whom they are dealing. Frankly, from a reputational point of view alone, I think maybe some of the more contemporary internet organisations like PayPal and like Amazon are maybe more vulnerable in reputational terms because they are very modern, contemporary organisations who've made a lot of money and built their business on the freedom and the speed of the internet. So for them to be doing something which may be perceived as going against that could actually be more damaging to their reputation than those that are maybe the more establishment organisations.
But is it also equally possible that by ditching WikiLeaks, which has a pretty big worldwide following, they could be also damaging their reputation, and certain people will say, look, I'm not going to use them anymore?
Absolutely. I think this is a big call for those organisations. And